I'm going to do the honors the way it's usually done. Oris, welcome back. We didn't see you
No, don't
last
talk to this
week.
guy. Just don't talk to this guy.
We hear you were recovering from Arsenal's what's the right word for it? Annihilation.
No, no, there was no annihilation.
Being kicked off the top.
I suspect that this rumor was
Implosion.
no. Oh my goodness. I suspect that this rumor was spread by the um, the anti-Arsenal what's his name now? The international Mr. C. And I have to say it is not true. It is entirely not true. I was not around because I traveled out of Lagos. I was in Calabar, by the way, and just taking in the sights of the city.
Absolutely.
And so I was trying to get away as far as possible from the noise, the chaos of Lagos. But I'm back.
Pulled you back.
But I'm back. But I'm back.
You couldn't stay away for too long.
Yeah.
All right, and of course we have James.
Yeah. Good morning, Lagos. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Lagos.
Okay, I need to know how to get in sync with that. Take my own headphones off because my ears.
No, you don't need to do that.
I won't say your name again.
No, you don't even need to do that.
I won't.
Just call him Jay.
Oris lied about why he didn't come back on time.
Oh,
Where did he say he went again?
Calabar.
Yeah,
Calabar.
He lied.
It's a beautiful place with beautiful food.
Yeah, what else?
It is. Unfortunately, I was expecting the hospitality to be a lot better, but I didn't get that. So let's just say I wasn't very happy with the hospitality.
Oh,
but
wow.
otherwise, yeah, it really looks nice. Super quiet. Unlike a certain city we all are familiar with.
That's
A certain city we love.
That's not affecting this. Can you imagine that? What were you expecting? What?
No, I thought the rumor about the gist about Calabar is that hospitality is like on a 300.
Oris is single. Perhaps he was looking for something else. So.
Well, Yania, you have 30 seconds to respond. This is what Oris is saying about your city. Yania, respond. Okay. All right, it's 18 minutes past 8 a.m. and this is the Smooth Breakfast. It's the great fan. We're talking about everything related to entertainment. And we have a special guest joining us this morning. Not that, everyone in the studio isn't special, but he's just really, really special. Our special guest is Gerald Eze. He is, I'm trying to think of the right way to describe Gerald Eze. But he is a performer, he's a minstrel, he certainly knows and loves the music. And most interesting bit of it, he's also an academic. It's all rolled into one. Welcome, Gerald, to the Grapevine.
Thank you, Zibby. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome, welcome.
And if you tell someone Gerald is in Smooth FM, the person would be expecting to hear something like this.
Yay!
That's enough introduction.
Absolutely, the sound of the Oja.
Exactly, because that's my signature.
So it's called the Oja.
Oja, yes.
It doesn't have an English name.
What is it doing? What would the English name do for it?
That's a good point. That's a fair point.
Yeah, but it has been erroneously called Igbo flute over time.
All right.
And it's some kind of confusing for me. I'm a flautist. I play the clarinet, I play the flute, I play all the three types of harmonica, the tremolo, the blues, and the chromatic harmonica. So, and I understand that the blues harmonica is different from the chromatic harmonica. And so when you say the Igbo flute,
yes.
I get confused.
Yeah, what does it
because
mean?
the flute is different from Oja. So you keep calling it Oja until people understand. Oh, when you say Oja, even if you don't know, you type it in Google, you will see it. It's not
OJA?
like OJA. It's not like in the 1960s when there was no Google and you can't. You need to describe it for American students and those. So wherever I teach, whether America or whether I perform in China or in Nigeria, anywhere, I say it is Oja. No interpretation.
Okay, Africa to the world. And you've just come back from a trip to the other side of the world. How was your journey with your art and your music and everything else?
It was a good one. I call it a movement from the village square to everywhere. I started with from the village square to Madison Square because I believe that music that I've acquired from my culture, all the sounds, the ufie, the ogene, the oja, the oboe, I play all these instruments, and all the folk songs that I've been, collecting over the years, studying under the master performers in the villages, that has been education for me, as more important than any other kind of education I've really attained. So going out there to teach, to perform, it's like moving from that village square to everywhere, and that is to show you how big that village square is. And you can only realize it when you move, when you migrate. So I've gone to the US. I taught at Dartmouth College. I delivered a lecture in the linguistic department at Dartmouth College, teaching the students how the Oja talks.
Talks?
Yes, how the instrument talks, because they're talking instrument. And then you wonder, what is an American student going to do with this information? You sit and you're wondering, tomorrow they make something good out of it. And so I think Africa should begin to appreciate what we have amongst ourselves. The Yoruba should understand what the Oja does. The Igbo should understand what the gong, the talking drum of the Yoruba does. And this way we can have a new time orchestra of for Africa in future, where you have all the instruments functioning just like you have in Western musical ensemble, the orchestra of the Western classical music.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that's quite an education.
It is. But Gerald, what I actually want to know is, many young Nigerians, many Nigerians out there, when they grow up, oh, I want to play the violin, oh, I want to play the guitar, I want to learn to play piano, and so on and so forth. How did your interest in these instruments, how did they come about? Were you surrounded by music growing up, or is it something you picked up along the way?
You see, it's unfortunate to not to know one's roots. It's unfortunate not to know one's roots. You're missing a lot in life. It took me till 2019 to understand that the Ibamo, the traditional masquerade music, dance, drum and dance of my place, was done in my compound in the village.
Wow.
So I will start with saying that music is in my DNA, and the beat is in my DNA. And my grandfather was the lead drummer of this Ibamo ensemble, and about 80%, my family constituted about 80% membership of this ensemble. And my grandfather's brother played this Oja. I never knew this until I had a spiritual encounter in 2019, and I had to go to the hospital where my dad was. He had partial stroke then, and the doctor instructed, don't talk too much, don't make him talk too much. I was like, this night, no, I'm defying. I am not interested in keeping to this instruction. I had to make my dad talk too much. He had to tell me, that we had this music. So I'll start from there. The music is in my DNA. And how do I interpret my grandfather's role? It's beyond that he was beating the drum, since he also made the compound available for this music. That means he was an art patron. So he didn't need to go to the university to become all these things, or have so much paper money to become all these things. Indeed, he was Eze Jibuako, and yam is the spiritual and material currency of the Igbo. So if my great-grandfather was the Eze Jibuako, but it was my grandfather that redeemed the name, the price for the name. So you see, I'm coming from a very rich ancestry, rich in spirituality, rich in music. This is where it starts. And then I would point out that my mom was a chorister, and she would always take me to the choir. And then I had an uncle who was a Reverend Father Herbert Uzeji, who would play the masquerade dance for me to watch at age 5. So my cartoon characters were the masquerades, and I knew the names, I knew the types, I knew upwards, I knew different masquerades that that Otugo, the dancers. I knew the different types. I knew about the one we called Abama at age 5, and I didn't really grow up in the village, but my uncle would always play this, even when he was in Lagos at the parish in Igondo. I remember then I would come in his room, he would play this music for me. So the interest started forming from there, and that is why I grew in music and did not stay only on the Western musical instruments that I play. I was able to still pick up the indigenous instruments, the traditional Igbo instruments, and not just pick them up, perfect them, and honor them. give it the right honor, put it where it belongs in my life.
Brilliant.
Wow.
We're speaking to Gerald Eze. He's a musician and he has his instruments. I can see the Oja and what's this one called?
Yeah, this is the oboaka.
Is it like a finger piano or something?
I will let you call it anything. If you ask me again what it is, I'll say it's the oboaka.
No, because we
Wow.
have people who cannot see you, so we
Yeah.
want them to have an idea.
So exactly, how do you describe it?
Right.
It's been called thumb piano
Thumb piano.
over time. I like to also acknowledge what people have tried to
So
call,
call
it.
it.
Mm.
Lamellophone.
What? Lamellophone?
It's these are described as lamels.
Okay.
Jim's enjoying his
you-
history and music class
you-
right now.
I'm astonished. I'm really, yeah. Go
We're
on.
streaming live on YouTube, so you can actually catch the live stream and see some of what's going on in the studio. Just search for Smooth 981 on YouTube. Gerald?
So in Zimbabwe, so they call it Sanza Mbira.
Also,
In
it's this,
Yoruba,
there's a version of this in
of
Zimbabwe.
course, the Yoruba have it, the bigger one. They call it the Agidibo.
Okay, that's a more popular one, I think, too.
Yes. In Rivers,
Nigerians, maybe.
exactly. In Rivers State, they call it the Obo.
Mm.
Are they all the same, or are they like minor differences?
You see, our ancestors traveled. It's I make sure to tell my university students, please don't think you are intelligent or educated because you have come to school. Respect yourself and understand your family history. That is where your education begins, and that is what spreads it too. Because if you only know how to read and write English, it doesn't make you educated. Our ancestors traveled, and when they travel, they see good things and they bring it home. And when you bring it home, they give it a name. And when they give it a name, they play it in a way that it affects them directly. So if I call this thumb piano, I am generalizing. And it's a problem. The way the Yoruba interprets the Agidigbo is not exactly the way the Igbo interprets the Obo. And even the tuning of the Mbira in Zimbabwe is different from the tuning of this Obo. And the way people use it. So the Obo, there are things that are common. This instrument is therapeutic. It's spiritual. It leads people to trance. Do you understand?
So I'm scared now.
No, not in a bad way.
No, I understand. I'm just mean if I'm in a trance in this studio, it's
I will blame Gerald.
Blame me, but I'm sure you'll be in a good place. And when you come back, you thank me.
All right, maybe after the show we'll have a mini session where
Yeah, so
Gerald
hear what it
thrills
sounds
us.
like. Exactly.
Absolutely. You're listening to The Grapevine. Do stay with us. The show continues right here on Smooth 98.1.
Gerald. So what exactly I was asking was physically, in terms of his dimensions.
Gerald?
Gerald.
Okay, so in the headphones. You can't hear
Can you
me.
hear me?
21 years of age.
I was asking, so physically, is this different from the Agidigbo? Just the way it feels. It's different. So does it also have the Agidigbo? I've never seen that. Does it also have lamels?
The Agidigbo,
Yes.
sure. Bigger ones.
Bigger ones, okay.
There's even one I've seen. One I've seen that is from the
So
north.
would you describe
It's
it as a
small.
wind instrument?
Yeah, it's kind of like a turtle shell. It's like
this what's
No, I'm
this,
saying classification. You know, wind
yeah.
instrument, string instrument.
Exactly.
What do
That
you
call this
classification is
material?
different.
If I
So
find it,
the classification you're saying now
Yeah.
is Western classification of Western instruments. But classification of African instruments, you have the aerophones, membranophones, idiophones, chordophones.
Okay, so what's the idiophone? What differentiates
The
them?
idiophones are instruments that produce sound by the body. So we have struck idiophone like the airport.
Inside the bag. Yes.
Now this is plucked idiophone. You know why? The sound comes from the body.
To the 15th of May 2023. See.
Oh, wow.
Are you
Sounds like what you hear in a spa when you're relaxing.
Scratch the card. If you find better, you can recharge instantly. But if you find any other gift, call the phone number on the card and the gift will be delivered to you.
I'm listening to it and I'm thinking to myself, Gerald, in Western music, because that's what I'm familiar with, would this be a wind instrument? What do you think? If you're going to transpose it,
No, wind is.
okay.
This can pass for wind. And
Going
We're
back.
going on.
Ah,
And
sorry.
we're talking celeb.
Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. You are in the grapevine with Zibby and I are talking entertainment. And of course, it's a full house today. But just to remind you, you can be part of the grapevine this morning by sending us your messages on WhatsApp 0809 4440981. We are also streaming live on YouTube. It's Smooth 981 FM Lagos. And like I said, it's a full house. Zibby, Ayo, Oris, James, and of course our special guest. Not that you guys aren't special. Gerald is.
You have to keep
with us.
reminding us. Because Gerald, the better of us look bad.
No, we're all special.
All right, so let's talk entertainment. More entertainment, that is. Now, Davido has revealed that he's set to tell his story through an upcoming documentary on Netflix, and the fans seem to be jumping for joy.
Oh. I don't know if I'm jumping for joy.
Okay, then you're not a fan.
Are you jumping at all?
maybe I'm a little bit too big for that. Anyway, but yeah, I think big news, or rather, I think what's happening at the back is more important to me, frankly. The idea that we are going to have a major story by a Nigerian artist as big as Davido, and the platform is American. I don't know, something about that whole juxtaposition doesn't make me too glad. It looks to me like even now that we have finally found a rich commercial vein for Nigerian content or Nigerian art, a lot of the commercial value is going to the West. Yeah, I just feel a little bit unhappy about that whole arrangement, because Davido is a big star, and if Netflix was owned by a Nigerian, it would mean like maybe a lot more of the value will be coming to us. But let's face it, besides the amount of money that Davido gets to agree to this, a lot of that value is going to go to the West. Something about it just doesn't sit well with me.
So maybe this documentary could have been done homegrown?
No,
Clearly not. No, it's not possible. It's not possible anymore to have that. But I'm saying that I think in the past, maybe over the past 10 years, there was an opportunity for Nigeria to have created its own platform to do something like this. Missing that chance means that everything that happens now feels like it's no longer going to be in our hands.
We have to wonder again. Though. We have streaming platforms here in Nigeria.
So
now, there are a few, but how effective they are.
No, exactly. So, my point is, in terms of, there was a time when these other guys weren't as famous, these platforms weren't as popular, the amount of money they had wasn't as much. Right now, anybody who is doing anything at all, even the guys who exist currently and are local players, you can't compete at all. The money it's just not possible. You're talking naira, you're talking about the almighty power of the dollar. It's just not possible anymore. So even if you wanted to do something like this now, what you would need is for our biggest stars to give you some kind of exclusivity. What that means is Davido is doing this docu-series for the first 3 months. Only a Nigerian platform has access to it.
Right.
It will never happen because Davido would know that he's losing too much money. So that's what I'm saying. So the time has gone. So it just really makes me feel like, we have missed a big thing here. Think about this. In the next 20 years, a lot of what we are claiming is making us happy. From in Nollywood, there's Gangs of Lagos, there's Brotherhood. You have this Davido stuff coming out. All of these projects, the IP is not owned by Nigeria. You have to remember that because the money is coming from the West. What do we own? That's the question.
we own the subscription. Now we are paying for it. So I totally agree with Oris. It's just that sometimes, if I cannot connect the profit to myself, I'm just saying that it won't hurt that much. But I totally agree as far as the general industry is concerned, because this is an iconic thing. This is something that a lot of people, or even if you look outside of Africa or outside of Nigeria, that other bigger artists are doing, and actually not just for the fans, not just for the business, also benefiting the country as a whole. So for David to have this type of iconic
I like the way you call him David, like you're his big brother.
like they're homies.
Right. It's an iconic docu-series coming because it's the first of its kind. And we've had people who have tried to do something, around themselves. But
reality
not,
TV.
Yeah, do you understand? But has not really been as fantastic. And talking about platforms here in Nigeria, sometimes I used to think that when we have a company like, I don't know if I should say it, but the most popular cable network you have here in, is it the most popular? Anyway,
It is.
you
It
know what I'm
is.
talking about.
It is.
Yeah, so they probably, they do a lot of these little things for some of the um, BBN participants, here and there. And it would have been nice if they were on this one. I mean, if for nothing else, if they were on this one, at least we'll know that we'll be sure of fantastic production, we'll be sure of coverage, as far as Africa is concerned and all that. And even the income, at least we'll have a bit of a share
Bit of it, true.
in our economy here, So, but regardless, as a fan, we'll still look out for it. I think it will be a start or a first of more to come for, especially with other people. When they see it, they will be like, okay, we like this type of thing too. So, but fantastic will be our fingers crossed. I think we'll be coming out in sometime around that fourth quarter or so, November, September. But yeah, we are out and here for it.
Yeah.
All right, all right, all right. Okay, now, all right,
I'd like to say something. You know, it's not a problem that Davido is having his story told to the world from America. It's not a problem. Has any Nigerian filmmaker tried to tell that story? That's where I would like to start. I don't know. I don't know. And has anyone tried and couldn't assess the video? And indeed, all the people around him, have they tried to tell that story? Because if it's a documentary about him, it's simply to tell a story about him. So, and if he is the one saying that this story will be told about him, I was thinking filmmakers are the one that intend to tell a story and reach out to an artist. From my own experience, Uncle Tam, Mr. Tam Shufuri, saw me perform at Freedom Park. Like, he came close to me. He said, "Please don't tell anybody about this. I want to do a film on you." And I'm happy it was a Nigerian that did that film. And since after that, there's been bits and pieces. There's been a BBC Igbo documentary too. But recently, an American filmmaker is doing a documentary on me. So I like that journey. And I've been performing across Nigeria since 2013 till now. Playing all these indigenous instruments, performing them in places you wouldn't ordinarily see them. And people are only wowed. Not many people would want to task their brain. So we also need to have that culture of taking opportunities. Seeing something and thinking that this is good and taking that opportunity. Because if the idea comes from America, I won't begrudge the place that the idea is coming from. Another way to look at it is, if Davido is really, really rooted and conscious as a musician, he would take more deliberate actions. So, getting young people really conscious and dedicated and deep rooted in spirituality is, for me, very essential and basic. So that whatever they become, especially when they become musicians, they will be taking deliberate steps. They will know when to move from the small area where they are, from their locality, into the nation, into the continent, and into the world. And they will know how to really drive that journey. So that even when you are dealing with an American filmmaker, you're making the person understand, I am coming from Africa. That is motherland. That is a big place.
Okay, let's move on to Maven. Now, Don Jazzy, who is the record label boss, has celebrated 11 years of his record label. Seems like it was just
11
yesterday.
years. I'm still thinking of Don Jazzy, Mo Hits, Connection.
Well, this is about
11
Maven, actually. So
I
this is
know.
not Mo Hits. So
No,
if you
I
take
know,
it back
I
to
know.
Mo, that's like almost a 20 hit.
I'm still
year.
like when I think Don Jazzy, I'm still thinking, Mo Hits. But maybe it's 11 years? Man.
Surprise, surprise, surprise. I remember the first record. James, you remember this one too, right?
Yeah, of
first, what's the name? Their first record.
Solar Plexus or something.
Yes, that was exactly it.
Yeah.
That's the name.
What is it
exactly.
called?
Solar Plexus.
Oh.
It was a compilation, the same way they did the one that had I like hello back in the day for
Yeah.
Mo Hits. They had
Maven
one
All
like
Stars.
that for Maven, exactly. And it was none of the people there now actually were there at the time. Funny.
The
Yeah, the
evolution.
two big stars at the time were Tiwa and One Day, both
Mhm.
of whom are no longer with Maven. So there's like a new crop of people that they're working with. I think Dr. Sid too was there. I remember who the other person
Yeah,
was.
he was that.
Dr. Sid. Anyway, so it's kind of funny, like, or rather, I think it makes sense that Don Jazzy, as a record label businessman, has pretty much evolved, and the company too has evolved. I think a few years ago they got private equity money, to kind of expand the business.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of maybe besides them and who was the other people, Chocolate City, I don't think there's any other label that has had this amount
Where is
of
Chocolate
structure.
City right now?
Good question.
I mean, because you mentioned Chocolate City, and I was going to say, no, maybe not Chocolate City anymore. It used to be like that, but I mean, another label that is not as loud, and still doing very well is actually YBNL.
I wanted to say that problem might be known as like we do not know that they have the kind of structures that these other guys have. That's just the only thing.
And they have it.
No, they don't.
No, they have it.
I don't.
So it doesn't look like, but actually they do.
Nah.
Because if you look at what they've also achieved over time, I mean, there has to be, and even David would have had the same, and I think it actually does. But sometimes it's not as elaborate or clear as we see with Maven, and even Chocolate
Maven
City
really
before.
gives like the bad boy era record label where you see them, they're your faces, you know what they're
Exactly.
doing, they're all
The
collaborating
group
together.
is popular, the label is popular,
Yes.
their manager is popular, everybody is popular.
That is true.
And
Everybody
not
has
just
to be.
being popular, Maven even has an office where you can say this is Maven's, and not even just a basic office. It's actually in the heart of the city.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
it's different. It's actually what it is. Yes, they are doing very, very well for themselves. And 11 years sounds like a joke. Yes, and as Oris said, when they announced Solar Plexus, and then they announced all the artists and even with the what's it called producers on the platform, and it just looked like, oh wow, but today we have something different entirely. Not just only their own artists, but also the affiliate artists from Jones, which is Rema and Ruga. Yeah.
Wait, is Rema? Wait, that's a good question, by the way. I mean, this doesn't concern us, but I'm interested. Is Rema actually a Maven, or is he with Johnson? Because I don't
Jones
know.
is not with is not a Maven signed artist. It's Jones. So you see, the Prince, who's the CEO of Jones and
Of Jones,
World Records, he introduced Rema and Ruga, so they have this co-parenting
Right.
with Maven. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, anyway, but I mean,
Prince, you
this
mean
is
the
for
Prince,
Gerald.
Don Jazzy's brother?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is for Gerald, by the way. Gerald, is there any chance for a pop music collaboration with you? Is that something that's even marginally possible?
If you call it collaboration, then I'll start from the work I've done with Flavor.
Okay.
I played Oja in Flavor's Ijere.
Ijele. That's okay. That's the organic song, isn't it?
Yes, the one
With Zorro.
Yes, the
Yes.
one he
I
did
know.
with
I
Zorro.
know the song very well. I love it.
So Gerald, you see,
That
before you
was-
ask that question, before he asked that question, it had been ringing in my head. I want to say, did you play anything for Flavor? So were you giving proper credit? Like, was it a feature, or were you even giving credit for it?
It wasn't, because I remember that's a song featuring Zorro.
Yeah,
It doesn't say anybody else.
yes. Right now, if I have to play the Oja for you for 1 minute, you have to acknowledge that, because that sound
Fair.
is coming from a whole culture. It's not even mine.
Hmm.
And that is why you hear this instrument, it speaks to you of a whole space. So it is not mine. When I did that recording, I didn't have the enlightenment I have now. I want to clearly acknowledge that. And it's not a problem.
Fair.
An artist evolved, so he paid for it, but then I wasn't also under any management. I was just being a minstrel, moving around to perform, learning, and getting information. So that was a major collaboration. And someone asked me a question: do you think that music will be the same without the Oja? And then I was like, oh my God.
No, but it's a good question.
So
actually.
now I make efforts to enlighten my students. Yesterday I was having a conversation with someone who plays Udu, and I'm like, respect this instrument. For every collaboration you do, it's not about being paid. You have to you have to get the credit because you already earn it. and you are playing an instrument that is not just a piano, not just a guitar. This instrument is spiritual. It is coming from a space. It's representing a whole people. So if you are acknowledged, that sound is acknowledged, and the people who own it is acknowledged.
All right, let's go on to messages. We're almost out of time. Let's see. Clement says, good morning, everyone. Your guest should play his flute at the inauguration. I love his intro. Austin says, greetings to the Oja man in the studio. I give him kudos for taking the Igbo traditional music instruments globally. In the past, school children used to tell folk tales in the classrooms on different days, but those days are gone. I wish it can be revived so our culture doesn't vanish.
And this one says, this your guest now, Brain, highly intelligent, educated, and very aware gentleman. See how calmly he presents so much insight. He's got me wowed.
And she says, please, is he married?
Gerald, so are you married?
I'm not married.
Okay, Angel, he's single.
He's single.
If he's not married, he's single. And she says, Zibby, you're laughing. I'm serious. We're serious too. All right, you can find him on Instagram. What's your Instagram handle, by the way, Gerald?
Official Gerald Eze.
Official Gerald Eze. It's going to be a smooth wedding.
Fingers crossed.
Yes, indeed.
Taya says Maven is a good graduate school for music talents. Chocolate City have black bones, and he's fighting with TJ Omori. All right. Well, that is all the time that we have. It just feels like the time went by so quickly.
Just whooshed by.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your messages. Thank you to our analyst, James Oris, and to our special guest who is on Instagram at official Gerald Eze for joining us on the show this morning.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for having
Thank
us.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, do stay with us on Smooth 98.1 at 9 o'clock. It will be time for Lagos Talks.
Get live on the Smooth
Oh, wow. The time